Welcome back to Animal Crossing New Horizons. I'm dear darling, as you see what's going on our lovely island of Fawnhallow today, where we'll be relaxing as per usual. How are people enjoying Pocket Camp Complete? It's been, I thought it was released on the 3rd of December. It turns out it was the 2nd of December, as I did pre-register for it. And then I woke up this morning and I saw the Play Store was like, oh, it's here. And I was like, what? It was only £9, so I did buy it. And I had a look, and I had a look on basically the Pocket Camp subreddit, which I might actually subscribe to now if I start playing a bit more Pocket Camp. I see it as a pick up and play sort of thing, not really something which I need to commit that much time to. I hope. Don't know, I guess, but yeah, I mean, I'm in the Animal Crossing subreddit, and that's had no updates for yonks. So, hello there, everyone. Right now in Fawnhallow at 6:12 p.m. on Monday, December 2nd, 2024. Did I schedule the Everhood episode to come out today? I did on Saturday. I forgot to actually make I recorded the Another Crab's Treasure. Okay, I did Another Crab's Treasure episode, and then I forgot to I scheduled it for the wrong time. I scheduled it for Sunday instead of Saturday, and I was like, wait. It was midnight, and I was like, wait, where's the episode? So I apologize for that. I've got basically no backlog right now because I've been so busy, and it looks like I'm also going to be quite busy this week as well, but at least I've got enough for 3 days, so oh, that's the wrong word. So I'm doing D&D tomorrow. Wednesday's the only free day I have, in which case I need to record Thursday and Friday. No, Thursday and Friday. Okay, whatever. It happens. Anyway, so what was I going to say? I can't remember. Yeah, Pocket Camp Complete has come out, and apparently it's way more generous with actually getting things now compared to previously. I saw people just going absolutely mad, just being like, what, things are so cheap now, which is cool, in my opinion. Being able to sort of actually customize these things, and I've basically already been theorizing what sort of customization would I want to do for my Pocket Camp, and I was like, well, I kind of want to recreate what I wanted to do with Fawnhallow with my characters, but then couldn't be bothered to do. And if you don't know, the lore behind Fawnhallow, which is eventually turned into, is that all the villages here are meant to be sort of deities in some kind. not literally deities, there's kind of two forms, there's kind of the slice of life form, which is the things you see in the thumbnail arts, where everyone's just nice, villagers having a good time, and then the conceptual form, which is this ascended deityhood that they are. And I'd be it'd be really cool to make this sort of ethereal customization based around them. But I don't actually have most of the villages I have in Fawnhallow on Pocket Camp right now. I have half of them, I think. I have Lily, Fauna, Phoebe, Rowan. But I don't think I have anyone else yet. So yeah. Yeah, I don't know what else to say, but it's apparently they're insanely generous with what's going out, with what's going on, and all the materials. I mean, it makes sense because it's now a one-time purchase. There's no more microtransactions in it. They basically slashed the prices of everything just so it's actually accessible. Because they're they're not gonna, they're not. It sounds depressing to say, I suppose, on video game industry, but they're not now trying to sort of gouge you for money, right, with microtransactions and tempt you into buying large amounts of currency for it, because they're not going to anymore, because it's just it's a one-time purchase. So props to that, I suppose. It's good eating for all of you who liked the game but didn't like the costly microtransactions part. So I suppose if you want to support it, this is a good time to, if anything. But yeah, I haven't really gotten stuck into it. I haven't had the time yet, but I don't know, maybe this weekend I'll at least sort of check it out, sort of remind myself. I wonder if there's a guide for people who are returning back to Pocket Camp, because I opened it up and I was like, I don't remember how to do anything in this game, and it's not like I can play the tutorial. Well, maybe I can play the tutorial again, but I wasn't about to, so. Anyway, that's not what I'm here to talk about today. That's what's happening in Pocket Camp. The other games, there's not much going on. Honkai Star Rail is going to be the next update, or not Robin, Sunday's coming out. And Sunday I wasn't initially going to pull for him because I was like, oh, you know, I don't have need for a hyper carry support and that sort of thing. And it's like, oh, he's a remembrance hyper carry support, and I'll be like, oh, okay, at least I'll wait until we'll see the remembrance characters, see if there's any if I want, and then I'll pull for him. And it's like, ah, oh, damn, all the remembrance characters who have been announced I want. So I'm just like, I'm doomed. So I will pull for Sunday. I'm not going to pull for his light cone. I'm not going to pull for Fugue's light cone. I'm just going to pull for Fugue. Probably. Because originally I was going to do Fugue plus light cone. So, you know, we're sacrificing Fugue's light cone for Sunday instead. Anyway, not the point. I don't know why I talk about my gacha plans, but it's just something to get conversation started. I could talk about what I did yesterday, which was sort of celebrating a friend's birthday. We went out and we did something we hadn't done actually for a very long time, which is an escape room. The last time I did it was when we were on holiday. Well, I was actually talking to my friend about it, being like, when's the last time we did one? Has it been like more than 2 years? And then my friend was like, I think the last one we did was like when we went to Spain. And I was like, oh yeah, of course, we did one in Spain. We went to Gibraltar and we did an escape room, which is it was a pretty cool escape room. And it was one of the coolest things was the fact that the person working there actually like jump scares you partway through. It was literally just one escape room they have on there. And he like burst open the door and like had a mask on, and they had like security camera footage. And I really, really, really wanted a video recording from it. And he said they would send it to us, but then he didn't. So, sad. Anyway, anywho, when was that? I don't remember when that was, to be honest, but it certainly was a while ago, it feels like. Anyway, not the point. The point is that we did an escape room yesterday. It was a very interesting escape room. It was the most unique experience I had in an escape room, in not a good way, I would say. I'm not gonna name names and call this place out, because I feel like conceptually it could have been like a pretty cool escape room. I was like, conceptually it's pretty cool. The puzzles are actually pretty like nice puzzles, and nothing is like particularly mind-breaking. It's not a very difficult room, but it's just like a very interactive room is perhaps how I'd put it. But it was like a Japanese samurai themed room. The law is sort of just like there just to facilitate the mechanics, I think, for escape rooms. Like, even me, someone who loves lore and stories and that sort of thing, I don't get that invested in escape room stories, because it's so soft and bare bones. It's what do you have to do, and what's the reason you have to do it. Okay, now do it. And this one, it was basically, there was like a wandering samurai. We basically had to like cleanse his soul or something. I forget exactly, or get rid of a curse. And it started out pretty cool. Like, it starts you out, I guess spoilers for this escape room, if it starts sounding familiar, then maybe stop watching, because I'm going to spoil escape room, but I don't know, this is probably quite niche. But the whole summary, I would say, of this escape room is the fact that I was like, this is cool, like, interactions, very, probably quite easy puzzles, and then terrible execution, because nothing worked. So, but the hardest thing about this escape room was understanding if we actually solved it, or if we failed to solve it or not. Like, if we solved it and it mechanically wasn't working, or if we failed to solve it or not. There's so many times we were like, oh, we solved a puzzle, we're like, oh, okay, it must be this, and we put it in, or we did whatever, and it was like, nothing happened. Oh, did it not work? And then we walk around, be like, oh, maybe we missed something, and then like one of us would come back and we'd hear like a click, and we'd be like, oh, this just opened randomly. So yeah, that was something which was prevalent through the entire room, I would say. Well, I'm sorry to say, like, it was literally almost every single puzzle, which was insanity. But yeah, it starts you in like a jail cell, essentially, and there's not a lot to do in the jail cell. There's like, you see there's a weapon affixed in the wall which can be removed but is currently locked in place. There's a slidey puzzle on the wall, and there is a wall tile which comes out. And it was so funny. The escape room host, she was giving us like the sort of preamble for it, and that wall tile popped out, and we were just like, okay. She ran with it pretty well, because she said before basically the walls had secrets, and she was like, there you go, the walls have secrets. And it was so blindingly obviously something that you had to remove, so it didn't like spoil anything, but it was just like that should have been a sign for things to come. Anyway, so you're trapped in a room, and the way to escape room is actually kind of interesting and not something we thought about. We were like, oh, maybe we had to solve puzzles or something, but what they cleverly did is that the jail room faces the door that you go in. So when the host closes the door, it reveals that there's a mirror on that door, and looking into that mirror, you can see that there's a latch that you could possibly reach down and try and open manually with a door. And when I saw that was the solution to the puzzle, I was like, that's actually genuinely very cool. Like, that's clever design to hide a mirror, so like even when you're like looking around trying to get a lay of the land, you don't see it, and only when the door closes can you actually put together the pieces to figure out how to escape. So that was fine. There's also a slidey puzzle in there, which I thought, because she was like, there's red herrings in this room, I thought this was a red herring, and I was like, no, I'm going to do the slidey puzzle just for fun. The reason I thought it was a red herring is, one, it's insane to put a 4x3 slidey puzzle, I think, in a room. Like, slider puzzles aren't too difficult. They're just time consuming if you don't know how to do them. But this one was insane because it was a vertical slidey puzzle, so all the pieces are affected by gravity, which makes it so annoying. And also, it's so difficult to see because it's in a dimly lit room, and it's basically a wood engraving, which is a pattern of the slide puzzles, but it's so hard to see the wood engraving that it makes it really difficult to know if you're putting things in right place. So you're basically doing a slidey puzzle of the Great Wave, that painting, and they had the little painting above it. And I basically just spent the first like 5-10 minutes or something doing the slidey puzzle because I was like, I kind of wanted to do a slidey puzzle. And then while I was doing it, I was like, there's no way this can be even slightly relevant because this is, in my opinion, not good design for an escape room. Because a slidey puzzle is, if you're going to put a slidey puzzle in, just do a 3x3 or just do like something where it's like almost solved immediately, or like some pieces are locked into place already, because it's insane to get people to try and solve a slidey puzzle. It's kind of like putting a Rubik's Cube in like an escape room and being like, solve it. Like, a slidey puzzle is a lot easier than a Rubik's Cube because Rubik's Cube is like straight up impossible to solve if you don't know how to solve it, in my opinion. A slidey puzzle is at least you can kind of figure it out, but it just takes so much time. It's like one of those menial tasks sort of puzzles, which is not that interesting in my opinion. But honestly, the build quality of a slide puzzle was pretty great. It's also insane to put it vertically. Do not put it vertically. Put it horizontal. So like the pieces aren't affected by gravity. And also at least put at least an outline of the engraving stuff in. It's really hard to see in that dim light. Anyway, not the point. Supposedly solving that slidey puzzle actually let the weapon escape from the wall, but I didn't see it happen, and none of my friends saw it happen. I thought it was a different puzzle which later did it, but I choose to believe my friends, to be fair. But then you go out into the main room, and there you basically have 3 puzzles to solve. One of them is you had to get the 4 weapons, which are around the room. I can't remember where most of them were, to be honest. And you had to arrange them in like the weapon holder. And it gives you a clue, just being like, oh, the green kimono, the green samurai used this, was a bow wielder or something. And then there were like paintings around the room, and then one of them was like a green samurai with a holding a bow, and also had like a spear or something behind him as well, and you'd put the spear in his name. And I was like, that's kind of cool, you know. It's a nice sort of mix of like it sets you up to think like it's going to be a logic puzzle, but then it's like, oh, it's actually an environmental exploration puzzle, which was pretty cool. That didn't work. Like, there were lanterns we noticed in the corner, and I was just like, oh, I guess these are meant to light up when we do it properly. And we solved it, and it didn't light up. And then it just, like, we came back later, like 5 minutes later, and it lit up. And we were like, okay, nothing happened. No, we didn't do anything, but it worked. There was another one, which was a physical one, which I was like, this is cool. It's an interactive puzzle, where there was basically a button on the wall, and you had, like, a toy bow and arrow, which you basically had to fire the arrow at the button. And I did it, I would say. Not first try, it was like second or third try, and I did it so well that the suction cup got stuck to the button, and I was like, oh, sick, nice. But it didn't light up the lantern, and then we were like, what? We didn't realise till afterwards, and then a friend did it again, and then it actually lit up, and we're like, oh, okay, sure, why not? And then there was another puzzle. This one was like super weirdly broken. It was like a dummy, basically. And the tile that came out of the wall had like a secret code on it. And the code was like basically scattered around the room, which corresponded to different parts of his target dummy. And then what you basically had to do is you had to hit the target dummy in the correct order to input the code, as if you were like training on it. Secretly, there were actually like plastic buttons which you were hitting, and we were all like, that's a really cool like way to do like a combination lock or something. Except for we inputted the code and nothing happened, and then we spent like 5 and 10 minutes just being like, why isn't this working? And we all double checked the code and we're like, this should be working. And then it was just like, oh, now it randomly works. And we were like, okay. It was even worse because there were sound effects which played every time you hit the button. And the first time we did it, it like played a sound effect which made us think, oh, we did it. And then like no more sound effects were played when we pressed the button. So we're like, oh, we must have solved the puzzle. And then it just nothing happened. So that's the first sign. That's the very first big one we were stuck on. Where it's like we solve a puzzle, but like what do we do now? Because it gave us no indication. And then it was the quietest thing like to notice ever. But apparently one of the walls eventually was a door and it opened. And then we actually had to ask for a hint. We were like, what are we doing? And they were like, oh, the walls have secrets. And then we looked over and it was like, oh, that wall might be a door. And it turns out it was a door. And we're like, oh, okay. Like, I'm putting my game design cap on now. Throughout the entire thing. And now throughout the entire thing, but now even more so in retrospect. It's like, you gotta have something much more visible. Or you gotta guarantee that the puzzle they solve will be like immediately facing that door so they notice it, you know? Like, because the dummy was in the other corner of the room, basically. And that's the last one we were solving. Because I think back to other escape rooms I've done. Every single time it's, like, had a door to another room, we were solving a puzzle, like, directly at the door. And then, like, the door opens. And we're like, oh, okay, let's go on through. Yeah, so then we're in this other room. And then there's bad sign immediately is the cupboard there was like a hand cupboard on the side, and the door was like immediately stuck, and we were like, okay, interesting, let's hope that's not relevant. And then there's another puzzle me and my friend did where it's like, this is how you do the tea ceremony, and it said like the 4 different components of a tea ceremony, and then gave 4 different symbols, and there was like a table of like a bunch of different symbols on, and we were like, oh, obviously we had to put down each of these pieces onto each of the symbols, and we did it, and nothing happened. And then we were like, okay, weird, maybe we didn't put it down properly, so like we like turned some of them around, or like one of them around, I can't remember, didn't work, and we were like, okay, weird, maybe we're missing something. I got a friend. The other 2 people, they came and you know, they were just double checking, and they were just like putting it down again, and then it worked, and we were like, what? But that one was based around magnets, so probably the magnets just weren't aligned properly or something, which is, you know, it happens. I can't remember what that one gave us, to be honest. And then there was another puzzle where we had to assemble a puzzle together of a painting, and it was meant to unlock some random, but there was a lot of things where this is actually a big criticism I have of this room now I'm thinking about it. You would solve a puzzle, and for one, I can look over it mechanically breaking and not giving feedback for if you solved it correctly or not, but a bigger vice is the fact that when you would solve it, it would unlock something which is like in a different room, on a different side of a room for you, and you would have no indication. Combined with the no indication that it actually worked, you wouldn't know to look there in the first place. Because we did that puzzle, and there was a drawer underneath a cupboard, which I think that was the one we were like trying to unlock. And we're like, it makes sense for doing this puzzle would unlock the drawer underneath it, but it didn't. It unlocked the drawer on the other side of a room, which I only discovered by accident. And we were like, what? I think it was that, at least. Or maybe it wasn't. I can't remember. I might be criticizing the wrong thing. Anyway, but that did happen, like, surprisingly frequently. Anyway, we did another puzzle where we had to put in, like, a number lock. The number lock was in Japanese, though, which I thought was like, hey, that's kind of cool. And I found it very funny. It gave you the numbers 1 to 9 in Japanese, but it didn't give you the number 0, but 0 was on the combination lock. And I was going to be like, that's going to confuse some people, surely. Because they're going to be like, what's this random symbol? And then you put in the combination lock, and the combination lock is crazy because it keeps resetting back to 0 if you don't hold it, and it's really small as well, so it's hard to get like 4 people in there. And then when we put it on the actual code, we didn't know if it unlocked anything, which is a recurring theme. But then it had a very cool thematic next puzzle, I think, where it did like kintsugi, that's what it's called, right? Where you repair pottery and stuff with gold. Except for what we were meant to do is we were meant to it gave us like a vial of gold in the cupboard, and we were meant to like restore this painting. Except for like there was no way to trigger the painting. Basically like flashed up in order to be like, this is the code you need to input. Except for we had no idea how we triggered the painting, and it only triggered like randomly. And what you had to do is you had to go to the back of a painting and press down with the gold it gave you to like in order. Except for it was so unbelievably finicky, and we couldn't get the last one to work. So we all tried it, and then it just randomly worked. We were like, okay, sure, why not? And then it was even crazier. Throughout these puzzles, we were collecting like these different pucks with like symbols, elemental symbols on. And then we got to that point, and it was like, oh, it gave us like a riddle. Where you had to like assemble the pucks together in like a certain like order, and it was just like when water comes and the forest will follow, etc., like that. Except for we were missing a puck, and we were like, oh, where's this other puck? And we even rang the gong, because there were like 5 pucks spaces and we only had 4. We're like, oh, where's like what are we missing? And we're like, you're missing 2 pucks and candles, as they called it. And we were like, what? We're missing 2? I was like, you had to put them in the right order, and it's like we know that, but like we don't know where the other candle is. And then it just unlocked anyway, which must have been, as with probably like 90% of the unlocks in this escape room, must have been a manual release. And then it opened up, and then it had like, I can't even remember what it had inside. It had, I don't know. There was another point we went to another room where it had like this little shrine thing, and there were like handprints on the lanterns. 4 handprints, and we were like, oh, we must have to like put our hands on these handprints and it must do something. And then we did it, and then nothing happened. And then we rang the gong again, I think at that point, the gong was a clue. And then it was like, you need to make sure the hands are completely covered. And we were like, what? And then it just randomly did it, I think, when we weren't even like doing it, which is crazy. And then this is the craziest part, like after undoing the candle puzzle, it gave us a chopstick and the final artifact thing we needed. And I think doing the hand thing basically allowed us to spin this like combination wheel with different like Japanese characters in, and they turned the lights off in that room, so we had to put the Japanese characters in the dark. Which I think it's crazy that they did it in Japanese characters in the first place, because I was like, you should pick some simple characters. It's not like everyone's going to be like, obviously I can read Chinese and Japanese, I don't know Japanese fluently, but I was like, I'm pretty familiar with these characters, but most people are not going to be familiar. And I was just thinking, why did you choose such complicated characters for these? I can't even remember what one of them was. Like one of them I didn't even know what the word was. Like one of them was like master, which is very easy. Well, master in Chinese, which is like sure. Okay, I guess it could have been tool, which is like ground. But I think it was master. And then one of them was just like, I didn't even know what it was. It was like, I'm going to try and, it was like Thai something. Is that it? Treatment? Chirio? Maybe. I can't remember. It was something like that. And I was like, why would you choose this word? It's genuinely crazy. Like, if anything, they should have just done katakana or something, right? And just spell out something like samurai. I can see that working pretty well. Anyway, and then the final thing, like you put in that combination and it would open like the statue's mouth, and then you put the artifact in, except for we put the artifact in and nothing happened. We were like, we must be missing something. And then we just like walked around and be like, I'm pretty sure there's nothing left, let's try it again. And it worked, and we were like, okay. And then it was like, you're done, you can leave. And we were like, what? And then normally there's like a mini talk back where it's like, oh, did you have any questions, any like queries about things in the puzzle in that room? And then it didn't happen this time. They were just like, oh, okay, let's go. And we were like, okay. Like I even like was going to ask, I was like, tried to ask, but then we were just like ushered out, and we were like, okay, well, interesting. So not the best escape room we've done. Very memorable and funny experience, to be honest, way. Of like, it's so interesting to have an escape. It's so interesting to have an experience which lacks in one thing very clearly, and this one lacked in feedback so clearly that it's interesting to see how it impacted the experience. And this one, it impacted it not by like us not being able to solve it, but impacted it by the fact that we were so confused throughout the entire thing. We didn't even realize that we had really won when we did win, which is so funny. Anyway, I'm going to round this episode off here. So if you have been watching, thank you very much. It's been Animal Crossing New Horizons, and I've been Dear Darling. Likes, comments, subscription, shares greatly appreciated. Socials, Discord down below. Hope to see each other again, but for now, it's our farewell. So until next time, bye-bye for now.